So I'm here in Chicago, and this is Eugene Field right here. Next to me, it has softball fields and that. And then right across from this park, which I don't understand why it wouldn't be used. Now, here's the cemetery, but this is where my brother John went to school. And let's see if the campus is open. Let's turn right here. Here's Northeastern. Still time to register. And so here's their baseball field and that. But you don't really ever see any advertising on TV about Northeastern. My brother John liked going to Northeastern. He continued to study biochemistry here, and he studied between here and UIC, University of Illinois, Chicago. And this is a nice little campus that you think they would be, looking to build out. Northeastern University, right? Student union and rec hall and so on. So, and this is right down the street from North Park. But you think that they have anyone coming out from Northeastern and going into the community like the Irish American Heritage Center, which is right down the street, and they can, do things with the Irish American Heritage Center, adult learning and senior learning, and then they could have all kinds of interactions with the schools around here. Here's the banners for Northeastern. And so I would have went here for, a master's. I never hear anything about masters or if they have PhD programs or anything. And they're right off a cemetery. So, information, enrollment services, student union, and so on. So, are these their dormitories? I have no idea, but they're right off a cemetery. Now, if you go through the cemetery, any graves that are over 100 years old, you might want to think about relocating and doing cremation. So I don't know what the contract with the cemetery is. If the graves are eternal, like once you get the graves, is it eternal? But remember, eventually the crust is redone, so these are going to disappear in 500 million years. But what is the contract? Like in Japan, it's only 100 years. So I don't know how long that cemetery should be there, and they might think about readjusting the cemetery. But here you get more of the campus, and obviously they have their own security, Northeastern, a little satellite dish. So I'm at loss that what these universities do to acquire their student population. And do they, and this is another thing they can do, they can actually work with certified college planning specialists, and there are other college planning specialists that are in financial service, and this university could work with them. And so there's Northside Learning Center. So I don't know if this university has anything to do with that, the back to school dance, which is kind of cool. And they could do a freshman dance and other things to create, meet and greet and get students to know each other and do things like intramural sports is a great thing, but they can have intramural dance. Truly, intramural chess, intramural checkers, intramural poker club, and all these other things for students to get to know each other. I'm a big supporter of education, and I follow the Bible. The Bible's a huge supporter of education. So, you got a great community around the university, and I don't know, how big the campus is and what they're looking to do with it, but the one thing about it is they're kind of landlocked because of the community around it. And so the only way they can grow is if they relocate the cemetery. Surely, let's go up to the main street up here. And there's a park down there. But let's go up and I'll wheel around. So, anyways, here's Northeastern, and they got the little sign right there. And this is part of their campus here. And you see all the houses, so I don't know where the faculty lives for Northeastern. So, the faculty live fairly close to the university, or the faculty, located all over the place. So, I don't know where their main entrance is. They have this core or central campus, and everything is off the central campus. I guess this might be it. Like ASU has a central walkway like this that goes through the center of Arizona State University. They don't have the University of Arizona has a big quad, and the University of Illinois has a big quad, and the university is centered around this center campus. And ASU has just this pathway that goes through the university that basically the university is centered around. And I don't know how much bicycles, they have some Diddy bikes up here. And so I don't know what this university is looking to do, who sits on the board, and what their plans are for this university. And I don't know how they interact with the community. So if I was doing things at the university for different events and everything, I would be sending out mailers to the community, the people that live around here that have nothing to do with the university directly. They don't have any kids going to it, that they can come for football games, softball games, different events on campus. I don't know if they have a theatrical program. I don't know. They have an agricultural program. I have no idea. I just know they have biochemistry. They have chemistry and biology programs. And that's because John went here. And so I don't know what their relationship is with the community. And this is an athletic field, and I don't know if it has a stadium it uses. And they could do, and right down the street now, North Park, and we're on Foster Avenue. It's on Foster Avenue in Chicago, and that's the little N. You never hear about this school, and this is very important. Now, this little community down here, if I go straight here, and this is St. Louis, you have a big Hasidic Jewish community. And I don't know if they do anything with the Hasidic Jews. How do I know they were here? Because when I went to North Park College, they used to be walking down the street. Now, they wear a black cap, and they have braids that come down the side, and they're Hasidic Jews. And Hasidic Jews focus on the diamond industry, and they're in New York as well, and they're huge. That community of Jewish people, it's from father, the son, the daughter, they focus on the diamond industry. So as a community, and the community is wealthy, But they've been in the diamond industry forever. And De Beers is controlled by Jewish people. If people don't know that. And now it's cartel, and they don't allow it in the United States. And they shouldn't allow their diamond prices to free float. And diamonds can be traded as a commodity on the exchanges then. So that's the one thing they don't understand. Like all these oil from these countries and that, because of the cartel, they can't get access to exchanges. So they can't issue debt on exchanges. They can't issue equity on exchanges because they're cartels. But if they delink and allow oil prices to reach a natural equilibrium and they compete against each other, you know cartels suppress intellectual property? Do you know all the intellectual property comes from Standard Oil and ExxonMobil and West Texas Crude and Brett Crude, that's British, and so on? All the true innovations in oil exploration comes from the ones that are listed on the markets that are not part of the cartel. And they do sell into the cartel, but there would be a lot more innovation and everything if they broke up the cartels and let the things free float, just like gold. Again, it is set as a cartel, and you need to allow that. There's only certain gold that is allowed that free floats on the exchange. Other gold is cartel, and the mines and so on aren't part of the exchange. They can't, if you understand anything about the security exchanges, they can't issue equities, they can't issue public debt, so they can't have access to the exchange. They can't do private placements. Cartels cannot do private placements. Not in the United States and that. And most countries, Europe and that, they can't offer them. And so they have limited access to international capital. So if they would break them up and allow things to naturally free float and find its natural prices, it would be better, and they would have more access to technology and everything else. So, and number one, capital. And here's North Park University. It's right down the street. Now, the reason I mention this, I don't know what Northeastern does, and I don't know what North Park does, and they're right down each other, so they're neighbors. So somehow they have to work in this community and figure out what they're going to do for future growth. Truly, they need to work together because they're on opposite sides of Foster, but they're also landlocked by these communities. And so let's go down here to the right, and they can go into the community. My coach, Andy Pharisee, who coached at Notre Dame, then his last half was he was the head coach of Stevenson High School, and they were very good at football. But he played at North Park, Andy Pharisee. And so North Park has a stadium that's not too far away. And that stadium could be a joint venture between Northeastern University and North Park University. And so this is a really good school. There's a very rich segment, Hasidic Jews living here, and they can get into the diamond industry, have mining and so on and so forth. Talk about synthetic diamonds and so on, so they can get into the chemistry and the biology and the mining and the marketing aspects of the diamond industry. And so the Hasidic Jews would go to school here at North Park and Northeastern. So they have them, and they have, I don't know how many thousand, probably thousands of years they've been in the gem industry. And it's for that community, that's how it makes its money. Like Amish, they make their money through furniture and farming. And so you don't understand, certain religious communities, they have ways of life that go on from generation to generation to generation. truly. And they do the gem industry from generation to generation. They've been doing it for thousands of years. The Amish, they've been farming and been building furniture for thousands of years. And it goes from generation to generation. And that's what the community, they focus and they be the best at what they do, and they are. And they make money generation after generation. And they make a good living. The Amish are filthy rich. They own, most of their money is in land. They own tons of fertile farmland in Pennsylvania, in Indiana. So here, all this community, and now you get into Lawrence, and you got Foster, Lawrence, and Damon behind me. But you start getting into these community, which is very diverse. And those universities, both universities, North Park and Northeastern, should be focusing on this. This is part of the draw, and this is a very dynamic area where you get a lot of Middle Eastern, you get Asian, Middle Eastern, Hispanic. Here's Jerusalem, Jewish, as I mentioned, Hasidic Jews. So you have this dynamic community around it, and I don't know if they reach out to the community, and if they made campus life and they could develop campus life and they made it rich and they helped develop the community, then people would come into the community, number one, to go to school, and you bring outsiders in, even from the rest of the state of Illinois. Maybe people from Rockford want to go to school down here, and people from here want to go to school in Rockford. So when you say going away to school, it doesn't have to be out of state. Like Jen, she went away for school. Her brother Charles went away for school. Her sister Gina went away for school. Yeah, Jen's sister Gina went away for school. And they all went to the University of Illinois. All three. The mother was focused, and all three of their kids went to the University of Illinois. All of them got the grades, got the testing scores, and were focused on just going to the University of Illinois, Champaign. So from generation to generation, I mean, from child to child, she raised them and focused them on going to the University of Illinois. Here's a faux restaurant. So this area here, I don't understand these two universities and how they're interacting. And these areas also need students. Do they go to these small businesses and ask them, what type of employees are you looking for? Like, they could open up a culinary program or hospitality management. And what type? Asking the small business in the area. Even with bartending, you got the mixology, and there's all kinds of things in going into running and marketing and service and you name it in here. And this is why these places don't do too well, because they don't think of running them like a true business. And it doesn't mean you lose the mom and pop. We had the Phoenician Resort, 500 rooms. We ran it like a mom and pop. But it was part of now the Marriott, a huge corporation, but it felt like a mom and pop. So you don't have to lose the mom and pop. So it doesn't have to be sterile. That's what they say big businesses, they're sterile and they don't have the warm, touchy feeling. Well, that doesn't have to happen. That's part of the atmosphere that you create. But you're running it as an entity to flourish. And you need to understand things, your costing of your product, how you bundle the wells, how you position things, and so on and so forth, and also how you take care of your patrons. Even reaching out to them, what they'd like to see, and so on. And that would be a nice little university pub. There's graduate schools. There's a bar at the University of Arizona, as I told you, and it's on 6th Street, and it focuses on, and the guy went to the University of Arizona, graduated, and he opened it up, and it's focused on graduate students, upperclassmen and graduate students. So more juniors and seniors in college, mostly seniors, 4th and 5th year students, and graduate students. So you got, medical school students, you got masters, people going for the masters, and medical school and law school, and people working on their PhDs. They go to this one place. They don't want to be around the younger kids. They don't want to be around the younger students. They want a more sophisticated, they want to go in and so on and have these more educated, more sophisticated interactions. And so they can create a thing where you market to these upperclassmen and graduates, and they come here, and there's other places where the lower classmen go. And so again, this community here, and they're doing some redevelopment on housing. So they got some on Carmen, and that's a beautiful Hispanic girl and her sister, and that's a good family. And you got all these new houses coming in here. And they got the Tyvek that going up, and so that's designed as a water barrier. So anyways, some nice new housing coming up here. And this is in Rays, the area. I would assume the new developments usually bring appreciation to the houses around it. And so the new developments tend to lift the cost of property. So all these people benefit with a rise in equity in their property. Truly, they do. Rise in equity. But I don't understand what the universities, and you got 2 of them, and then I told you Swedish Covenant, the hospital, is right down the street from both universities. And both of them can work with Swedish Covenant and see, administrative, hospital administration, like my friend Hung. He went to UCLA in his time, and he got a master's degree in hospital administration, and then went back and he finished his residency at UCLA. He had to start over again. And here's Swedish Covenant. And so my friend Kathy, anyways, a friend of mine from high school, this is her hospital. I mean, she used to, I forget where she was in this, but again, how is this interfacing with the universities? Truly, they can do joint research with both universities, and they can research medical devices, they can research medical technology, and so medical implants, medical devices like MRIs, and many other, needles. Like my friend, he came out with a new form of needle. He came out with a new type of needle. And so I was helping him try to position it. It was James Yu's sister, his sister, cute girl, smart, and her husband was the one who, them together, his brother-in-law and sister had this, and I was trying to help them get it placed with some of the people at Abbott and some of the other pharmaceuticals that I knew. So I was trying to help them get their product, and it was manufactured. Now they had it manufactured in China. But you have a nice little park right down here. Swedish Covenant could have all kinds of things right in this little park. Let me pull over because, the gods flying around. They got things to do. So here's Swedish Covenant can have all kinds of, kick baseball. do a kick baseball. The bases, you kick the ball. It's really easy. And even if you can't walk, I mean, you can't run, I should say, you can play kick baseball and you can't run. It's walking only. So you can do that. Here's Northeast. Here's North Park Stadium. So you see the stadium? So right here, and then right here is the U.S. military post where I used to drop off the care packages all the time. Toys for Tots and everything else. And here's a huge CTA bus terminal. So are they at North Park in Northeastern? Are they doing education certifications for bus drivers? They can do certifications. They can work with McDonald's and other corporations and, help produce certifications, truly cert programs, or technical, so they can offer technical certifications as well. And it gives them a diverse offering. That's what the University of Chicago does. That's what Northwestern does. They call it's through their adult education. So they offer these technical designations and these certifications. So here, and you get this community, and so here's down the campus here of North Park. And so these are, I think, housing for North Park. And so you have the military base there, U.S. Marine Base. You have a huge bus terminal, and you have all these other businesses. And do they go around and do a survey and say, hey, what type of certifications or technical degrees or education you need? And we can help our students, and you can go down to the recruiting center, truly. Like the University of Illinois, University of Chicago didn't have recruiting center for people getting their certifications from the Graham School. But they could have had people that were getting their certifications and went into a recruiting center, and employers, here's the Chicago Public Library right down the street, and the recruiters could have been recruiting people. So, and I don't understand that. Neither did the CFP program at Northwestern. Now, Northwestern had a CFP program. Northeastern could get a CFA program. Truly, they can get, like Creighton has a CFA program. They can get a CFP program. Now, it's a certification program, but also it is a graduate or master's program in finance. And you take this as you're taking the levels of the CFA. So Creighton has it formally developed, and University of Phoenix used to have it as well. So you end up with a master's degree when you finish your CFA program. So you have to go through the 3 levels, but the training and the education goes into each level. So you're taking courses that are integrated into level 1 of the CFA, integrated into level 2, integrated into level 3. So as you're going through and taking the CFA exams, your courses the regimen of the courses are designed for each level of the CFA, and you end up with your CFA degree, and you end up with a master's degree in finance. A master's degree in finance and your CFA degree. So you're doing a dual track. You're doing the CFA designation simultaneously as you're doing your master's. And so Creighton, if you've taken level 1 of the CFA, you don't have to take not the MCAT, the GMAT, the Graduate Management Aptitude Test. So if you pass level 1 of the CFA, and you can start in grad school at Creighton while you're doing level 1. So they remember at large, you're up to 9 hours, so 3 courses, and those 3 courses go into level 1 of the CFA. And if you pass level 1 of the CFA, then you can get admitted into Creighton. They waive the GMAT. So they can have this joint program, and they have 2 parks down here, Big Gomps and Little Gomps. And again, this goes into campus life. And here's the Chicago River that goes through. I forget what river. Is this the Chicago, or I forget what overpass? Maybe not the Chicago River. But there is a waterway a little bit, I think. Not the Chicago River. But anyways, and they don't go into these businesses, and the university can put out certifications. They can put out senior programs, adult education programs, and these people like franchises. They can put out, they can work with Domino's, and you can get a certification and become a Domino's certified logistics manager. Truly. Just like Microsoft does. Do you know that? I was going to go to the one school to get a certification in something of Microsoft. And you can start working in Microsoft. So they can do the same thing with Domino's and McDonald's, and you can be a supply chain certified logistical supply chain specialist. And if you pass, Domino offers you a position. But if not, you can work with other pizza companies. So it's a supply chain specialist for the pizza industry. The pizza industry. The hamburger industry. And so it can specialize based on industries. And so down here, and this is where I used to live up, not too far down the street from here. And so she's got the whole world in her hands. And so you have this Lawrence here, and I'm on Lawrence and Pulaski. Pulaski runs right into Interstate 94, the Kennedy. And so it's a merge of 90 and 94. It's truly 90 and 94 merge into the Kennedy. So it is a 90-94, and then it goes into 294 and goes into others, and 94 disappears. Yeah, I think 94 doesn't come up on the other end, but maybe I'm wrong. But anyways, then you have, this street, and you have the Admiral Theater, and this is your adult entertainment. So it's not prohibited that the college students, as they're going to school, earn extra money. My friend Julie Becker was a waitress, and as she went, and so she waitressed and earned money at TD's East, and she earned money, and that helped pay her way through college, being a waitress at an adult entertainment bar. But again, this area is really diverse, and so you have 2 universities that can really tap into these communities, and these communities, have all kinds of ethnicities and that, and they can do, culinary or whatever. They can do cultural education. Like you can study Indian culture, truly, or Asian culture, or his Latino culture. And so they can have a lot of culture-oriented educational programs. And then you can work with museums and write pieces and do artwork, and there's all kinds of ways that it integrates. But also you can get into doing design for restaurants and that, design for cultural stores. You want to set up a food market that's maybe Asian, and you want the inside, and you want to have this cultural feeling. So they can do that. And so you can get certifications, technical or formal educations. And it interfaces with this whole community. So I don't understand what the university is doing, but they can tap into the the community and further these people and their ability to, provide for the community. So they become more proficient at what they do, and this community thrives because they're dealing with people that can deliver outstanding service. Here's Albany Bank. Now, what should they do, Albany Bank? They should offer a credit union component to both North Park and Northeastern. I was part of Saguaro, and it was offered you had to be a University of Arizona student, or you had to be a University of Arizona faculty or staff. You had to work for the university or be a student of the university, and they had a credit union. Now, it wasn't called the University of Arizona Credit Union. It was called Saguaro Credit Union. And you had to be part of the university, student, faculty, or staff. I'm waiting to see what he's doing. He's got the walk sign. So you have this community around here, and this is where Danya used to live, the girl that I hung out with, that we are good friends, and I enjoyed going out to eat and hanging out with her. I really never met her other friends, but she had a lot of Asian friends. So anyways, she learned English, and she was proficient. She came into this country and right away learned English. She worked for Woodward Governor, and she worked as a nail tech, and she had multiple jobs. And, really good, following the law, never breaking the law. She maintained her place. She was a great tenant, law-abiding, hard-working, and so helping America be better or greater. Those are the type of people that America wants. But again, we should be focusing on a lot of self-incubation. And I believe in people coming in to provide labor and educational services and so on. But again, that's a smaller component. I mean, educational tourism can be bigger, and that helps build those countries around the world and our trading partners. I don't want to poach them. I want them going back to their countries and opening up stuff in their countries and doing trade with the United States. So you come in, you educate, you develop, and they go back to their countries and they apply their skills. And they help build out their country, their infrastructure, and their governments, and their educational systems, and everything. So it's one way to give back to the world. So I just did the loop in this community. Back up the other way is Swedish Covenant. But I'm coming back up on, I think it's Northeastern, because it'll be right here. The sign is right here on the right. And just down the block, east of Northeastern on Foster, is North Park. And then east of that is Swedish Covenant. So Welcome Week is right here, August 26th through the 30th for Northeastern University. But again, I don't see them advertising. And what is the mayor of Chicago, Brandon Johnson, doing? These are institutions in the city. Then what is Cook County doing for them? And then what is the state of Illinois doing for them? And then what is the federal government doing for them on an international basis? Because the federal government is supposed to be assisting them with their development to reach international students. The county and the state, the local, the county, and the state are focused on, the local is focused on involving them, Mayor Johnson, in the community, right, in the Chicagoland area, and helping them tap in through the city into the community and intertwine with the community. That's what the city of Chicago is supposed to be doing. Cook County is supposed to have a liaison that's working with the universities and trying to figure out how they can interact throughout, create awareness throughout Cook County, interact, how they can place students, and this is where Mayor Johnson comes in, at the local level in the city of Chicago. So he's supposed to be working with businesses and that on the local community, the aldermen here, his subset, the aldermen, and supposed to be working, and I don't know if they're in the same wards, same aldermanic wards, but if they are, the aldermen are supposed to be working with them and helping them tap into the local, and then the mayor's office is supposed to help them tap into the greater Chicago area, and then the county board is supposed to help them integrate and tap in to the county, Cook County, and then the governor is supposed to help them throughout the state of Illinois and interstate. Yeah, tap into students from Indiana, Missouri, Michigan, other places. So a lot of states have more students than they actually could ever handle. Do you know that? They have, this is why students have to go to other states, because a lot of states don't have enough educational capacity to educate their own college students. So no matter how you do it, some states do, and they can take in students from other states. But some states, even with their own, they have to go outside of the states. Like Hawaii and so on, other states, they just don't have enough. They have more people than they have educational institutions, and so people have to go out of state. I don't know what it is in Illinois, how many millions of college students, and there's millions, but again, there probably are not enough educational institutions to house all them, and then you start integrating, adult education, senior education, and then they can get into child education, educating like northeastern or eastern Illinois focuses on teachers. And so they develop teachers, but they can get into the teaching and develop, say, future chemistry teachers. And so you have a master's undergrad in chemistry, and you would go to a master's degree program in chemistry, but it's chemistry focused on teaching. So it would be a master's degree in chemistry on educational, future teaching degree. You would have a teaching degree in chemistry, a master's in teaching chemistry, a master's in teaching biology. So they focus on developing teachers. So they can do that as well. And they can place them here, but they can develop teachers from all to other parts of the world. They can come in here and get an education at the university, and it focuses. So they get classroom experience. They become TAs, teacher assistants, and they learn that through TAs being teacher assistants. They help the teacher in, all aspects, and sometimes they run the class. And this is ongoing with their book education, their classroom education. Then they get their applied education because they apply it when they're being teacher assistants. And they can go into and do training as a teacher assistant at a high school, to the high school chemistry teacher or the elementary school chemistry teacher. And so maybe they want to go and teach kids in elementary school. Maybe they want to teach kids in high school. Maybe they want to go into college. Maybe they want to teach graduate students chemistry. And so they work in a graduate program as a teacher's assistant. Or maybe they want to be in the PhD program, and they be a teacher's assistant to a professor who's in the PhD program. So they get training and so on and so forth, and then they, get their placement and become a teacher in chemistry. It teaches PhD level education in chemistry. So they can develop these different educational programs, and it can be immensely, incredibly beneficial. But again, what's the governor doing? What's the county board doing? What's the mayor doing? I mean, what are they doing? And I've been writing this stuff for decades to them. And, where are we moving forward? Because my vision would have put us light years ahead of where we were. But that's my opinion. But also the opinion comes from unbelievable amounts of application experience. So here's the old police station. They turned it into a restaurant. Now it's something else. It's a shrine. But this area would benefit greatly from those institutions developing. Truly, Northeastern and that. And then they can have football games at North Park and Northeastern, and people can go to those games and watch college football or college soccer or college sports in the community. And this helps build the community because they have a lot of local events. And then they can have, the community can rent out the field for different types of community, soccer programs or softball programs. So you're figuring out how's the universities working with the community, their high schools, their elementaries, their preschools, all the way up through their undergraduate to their master's programs, to their PhD, to their adult education, to their senior education, and their trade schools and their certification programs. So this community would benefit, and this is all right down the street. But they never came to Patrick Henry. We didn't have North Park Day where North Park College would come in and talk to us about, thinking about the future and talk to us about college. They never came in. Northeastern never came into Patrick Henry. And I know we're just an elementary school, but you want the kids and start planning and thinking, and, they can talk to them about different scholarship programs and ROTC and other ways that they can get the money to pay for college. And so they can talk to them about 529 savings and that, and they can have people come in from certified college planning specialists, and they can do joint with the university and talk to them, and they can talk about how the things work in the university can work the prepaid tuition plan in the state of Illinois. But there are other prepaid tuition plans from other states that they can use and go out of state as well. So again, there's an Ivy League program that you can save for and pay into that is for all the Ivy League schools. So you can go to Harvard, Yale, or whatever. It's a prepaid plan, but it's not by state. It's independent that the Ivy League schools started. And it's a prepaid tuition plan. And if you do the plan, you're allowed to go to any of the Ivy League schools. And if you don't make it, then, the money can go to another institution. But I don't know what the discount is. But the whole point is it prepays the tuition, and you can go to Dartmouth, Columbia, any of the Ivy League schools. Harvard, Yale, Princeton, Brown, you name it. So it's not by state. They put together their own prepaid tuition program. Their own prepaid tuition. So it's a multi-state prepaid tuition program amongst people in the division. Like the Big Ten, now the Big 12 or whatever, they can have their own prepaid plan themselves for just the Big Ten. And if you pay it, it goes into the prepaid Big Ten or Pac-12 program, and you prepay it, and you can go to any of those schools in any of the state that are within the Big Ten. But the only place that was doing it right now was the Ivy League. The only one that put it together, but they're, I guess you would say smarter. So they created their own bundle, and you can go to the prepaid plan and go to any of the Ivy League schools. So once you pay up, it's good for any of them. Harvard, Yale, Princeton, whatever. You can go to any of them. So they created their own bundle. But does the Big Ten do that? I don't know. I only knew it when I was a college planning specialist for the Big Ten. I mean, for the Ivy League. And so I bring that up because not many people knew about it, per se, that they had their own plan. So now that goes in. They have their own independent plans. If you know it's just Harvard, then you can do the in-state plan. So you have to compare and contrast these plans, which is better. So if you want to give more selection, then that's great. And so I'm here on Kimball, and let me take you up by Patrick Henry, since I'm doing this video. And so this prepaid education, here I'm going to go down Berthoud, which runs right into. So people from Patrick Henry come from the other side of Kimball as well. So I forget how big the district is going into Patrick Henry, but people were patrol boys and girls go out here and cross people across Kimball as well. So how far on the other side of Kimball, I forget, but that was all part of Patrick Henry. So this community can work with those educational institutions. So I don't get it. So anyways, here is John Covington used to live up here, and this used to be, I forget the name of the bar, but this was the corner bar. And they lived on the second floor up here. A little bit of my history. So this is where I spent my youth, in this neighborhood. And truly, I enjoyed my youth in one way. In another way, it had serious challenges. So it's kind of double-edged. One way, it was awesome because as a community, we went to LaBau Woods together and had a community picnic. Here's Patrick Henry. And they expanded out, so that means they must have more students because they took away, this used to be the playground. And so they took away the playground and expanded the elementary school. And I would give to this school, and I would have given, and I'm an alum. I've finished 7th grade here. I didn't graduate from Patrick Henry because I left in 8th grade. I graduated from Wilmont Junior High. I spent 1 year at junior high in Deerfield and graduated from junior high. So this is, Patrick Henry. And it says back to school bash, August 23rd, first day. So they're doing a community activity. And I'm not going to go into that. But this is the main entrances and to the school, and it was well maintained on the inside. Our classrooms were nice. They were very clean. It was well kept. And so this was my community. This is where I spent my life. But you think Northeastern and go down there, and they can do little community awareness for parents as well, talking about adult education at North Park or Northeastern, and they have an auditorium there at Patrick Henry, and they can send flyers out and come into the, there's these different adult education or senior education offering, and come in and speak at the auditorium at Patrick Henry because it's closer to them. They can walk down the street and they can, make awareness. But they can also do an event and just for community awareness, what's going on with Northeastern and how it plans to integrate into the community and what it has, and its different programs that you can take, kids to their baseball or basketball events and so on and so forth. And so, again, I don't know what they're doing to integrate. And you have Elston Avenue that goes on the angle, and I'm going back to Irving Park on St. Louis. So I don't understand what the alderman is doing in this aldermanic ward. I don't understand what the mayor is doing. I don't understand what Cook County is doing, the Cook County Board. I don't understand what the governor's office is doing. How are they making these communities thrive? Now, this is U.S. Bank. This used to be a little local bank, but U.S. Bank is mainly East Coast, has 5 levels of wealth management. They deal with billionaires, but their billionaire clients are mainly from the East Coast, but they have billionaire, multi-billionaire. They have 5 levels. They deal with people that have millions, tens of millions, hundreds of millions, billion, multiple billions. So no matter how much money you have, how many billions, the top level, the 5th level, only deals with billionaires. And so, they're designed to that, and that means that bank has a lot of money that it can pump into this community. They have a lot of capital in their bank from these very wealthy individuals from the East Coast that would do very well by offering CD or offering lending and into this commercial and residential lending. So they have a lot of money they need to place into action besides the community money. They have a lot of money on the East Coast that needs to get invested. So the community can benefit greatly from U.S. Bank. Truly. So there's billions and billions of dollars they need to place. And so it goes way above any local money. So they can pump a lot of money. So does Chase. They're another East Coast primarily focused organization. They're expanded out more. East Coast, Midwest more. But again, they have a lot of money they need to put to work. So you think this doesn't mean something. It does. There is more money that needs to be put to work that is sitting there on the sidelines than there is opportunity. Warren Buffett and his fund doesn't return enough because they got so much money sitting on cash they can't find enough investments. And